Hey guys, it's Larry Greenberg. Today we're going to take a look at the Kinetic case for the iPhone 4. This is an all aluminum case made of T6 6061 aircraft grade aluminum. It weighs in at 35 grams and it comes in a variety of colors. The case is available in black, pink, orange, red, or the silver version I have here. Right now, it's on a special pre-sale price of only $65. Currently, the case is back ordered. If you place a pre-order now, you'll pay only $65. If you wait until the case comes back in stock, it's going to go back up to the normal retail price of $80. You can also add in a carbon fiber back for an additional $10, and the carbon fiber back that Kinetic sells is not a sticker. It's going to be like this clear piece, which I'm going to show you in a minute, meaning that it actually slides into the back of the case. It's reusable, it doesn't leave any residue, and it's not a sticker. So in addition to the case, you're going to get with it two screen shields. These are the traditional, static, non-adhesive screen shields. You get one for the front and one for the back, and you get a little cleaning cloth. And then I mentioned this little polycarbonate or clear back. If you don't want to use the back screen shield, you can use this polycarbonate back. It's crystal clear, it's a little bit thicker than a traditional screen shield, and it's just held in there by the case itself. So you don't have to use any adhesive, you don't have to worry about getting it on there absolutely perfect as far as dust, because you can take it, remove it, clean it, and then put it back on. And I'll show you how that works in a second. You get the case, obviously, and you get 4 screws and the install tool. You don't get any additional screws with the case, which to me is kind of a negative thing here. I wish they gave you a couple extra ones just in case you lose them. These are pretty small. I've already dropped 1 or 2 while I'm installing it, and would be nice if they included 1 or 2 extra screws just in case. So let's get to the installation, but before I do so, I want to show you the inside of the case. You're probably not going to be able to make it out on camera, but since this is an all-metal case and we know what metal on metal does to the reception of the iPhone 4, I want you to try to take note of the interior liner that Kinetic has installed onto the case. And that's to prevent any sort of metal on metal contact from occurring. Now you can't really make it out crystal clear on camera, but there is kind of a soft, clear material that runs through the entire inside of the case, on all the corners, on all the edges, everywhere, that really creates that barrier between the metal of the case and the metal of the iPhone's antenna. So to install the case, you start with the left piece and you slide it onto your iPhone 4 like so. Now if you want to use the clear polycarbonate back, you start from the bottom and you slide it up the channel of the case until it rests in place like so, making sure it's all kind of lined up. When you get that in place, you kind of hold it together and you go for the bottom part or the bottom section and you snap it together like so. Now you gotta kind of have to make sure that everything's lined up, that the polycarbonate piece is in the channel, and take your time, get it kind of all lined up properly before you get to installing the screws. So I'm just going to do that now. I don't actually have it lined up perfectly. Let me see if I put it down. Yeah, I could see there that the polycarbonate back was catching on the corner. So there you go. Now it's kind of ready for installation. So according to the directions, it's best to start with the top screws first. You've got 2 for the top and 2 for the bottom. Don't really know the best way to do it. For me, I find just holding it up like so and popping a screw in. Sorry, I bumped the camera. And then just tightening it. Now, as I've mentioned on all the screws for the different cases of this type, you don't want to be careful when you're tightening the screws. Don't over tighten. Don't start tightening if you feel resistance. It should go in easily. The last thing you want to do is strip one of these screws and end up with this case permanently attached to your iPhone 4. So just take your time, back the screws in. If you feel resistance, back them out and start over. Just tighten until you feel the smallest bit of resistance from the screw. And the one thing to note about the tool they give you, you want to make sure you use the long end, not the curved end, to tighten the screws. Make sure you use the long end, as I'm doing in these installation right now. So doing the top ones, and then we'll get to the bottom ones. The top ones are done. Now I'll repeat the same process on the bottom screws. The one thing to note about these screws, they are longer than some of the ones I've tried on some of the other metal cases I've tried. Don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. It just takes a little bit more to get this case installed. A little bit more work. Maybe it creates a tighter fit with the longer screws. I'm not exactly sure why You know, some of these screws are longer than others, but it just takes a little bit longer to get them on and off. Not anything that, you know, you need to worry about. Just keep that in mind, that it's a little bit extra work to get it installed. This is definitely the kind of case that once you have it on, you're going to leave it on. You're not going to take this case on and off on a regular basis. These cases that use these kind of screws, I think, are mostly meant for people that keep cases on, you know, the same case on for a majority of the time, just because it is such an intense or labor-intensive install and removal process. All right, so I almost got it all installed. I'm just going to go around and make sure that they're, you know, give it one last little tight turn and make sure that it's all seated properly, and it is. So let's take a look at the case up close. You can see the front offers a awesome amount of lay on the table design. The edge of the case comes up over to the glass, so you can lay this down screen side down and not worry about it, you know, scratching the screen. And of course, since it's a bumper style, you can lay it screen side up and not worry about that back being scratched. Of course, in this case, I have the clear polycarbonate insert in there, so I don't need to be concerned at all about scratching because my entire back is protected. Of course, that clear insert is crystal clear, so it really, you know, is almost undetectable. You want to make sure, obviously, that you give it a nice cleaning before you put it in to make sure there's no dust in there. It's pretty tight. It doesn't move all that much. I feel a slight movement of it in here. Maybe I could tighten the screws just a tad more to stop that, but it's not really noticeable enough to cause me any issues. I really like the look of it. You know, the chrome sides or the silver color that I picked matches up with the silver detail on the back of the iPhone 4, and I like that a lot. So that's the front and the back. Of course, the camera lens, no issues with the flash bouncing off. Then the cutout's nice and large and there's nothing there for it to bounce off of. On the bottom, you'll notice the somewhat wide cutout, which is good because it allows for the use of third-party accessories, but it's super deep. So, for example, I couldn't get this to work with any of the docks I have, but most of the cables I tried would fit in there. You can see the cutout there. It's pretty wide as far as the top and bottom go, but notice how deep it is. So, you know, getting third-party cables in there that are thick aren't a problem, but getting it to dock with dock accessories is an issue for me. On the side there, you've got one large deep cutout for access to the volume buttons and the vibrate switch. It's no problem accessing either of those. It's nice and rounded in there, so it feels really good. On the top, it's a super deep cutout for the headset jack, you can see there. You're going to have to kind of use the trial and error method to see what headphones work and what don't. It's nice and deep because they've cut it out for access to the secondary mic, but again, it's you know, it's deep in regards to trying to get certain headset jacks that are bigger or wider in there. That may be a problem. The sleep awake button, the cutout is similar to that of the volume buttons and the vibrate switch. It's nice and deep, but it's rounded. Your finger just rests in there really nicely, and it actually feels really good when you go to activate it. I enjoy that sleep awake button cutout a lot. There's the front once again. The screws are at the top and the bottom. You can kind of just make those out. Overall, this is a really nice looking case. It feels great in the hand. It's at 35 grams. It's a considerable amount of weight, but it goes well with the iPhone 4. It offers, again, a nice tight fit, and design-wise, I think the elements of it really match the iPhone 4 quite nicely. One thing to take note, it kind of makes it more rounded. To me, that almost resembles the look of the iPhone 3G/3GS in design because it's got those rounded corners. It kind of takes away a little bit of the squareness, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, of the iPhone 4. Now, the big question everyone always has with aluminum or metal style cases is reception. This one is pretty good because it has that liner in there. Like most cases, I'll say that I saw plus or minus 1 bar of reception here and there when I put this case on. So because there isn't really any metal on metal, it's not going to, you know, completely deplete your reception, but I definitely noticed 1 bar dropping off when I put this case on. You know, but that's probably true of a lot of cases. You know, once you block that antenna or certain things come in contact with the phone, you probably will start seeing plus or minus 1 degree of reception with your phone. I didn't have any issues with GPS. That worked just fine, and no issues with 3G data or Wi-Fi as well. The only, again, negative plus or minus 1 bar that I was seeing when I put this case on. So again, the Kinetic Case available in a variety of colors right now at the pre-order price of $65. Definitely one of the more unique metal or aluminum style cases that I've seen. Gives a really nice fit, ergonomically in the hand, it feels great. Considerable amount of weight, which I actually like, makes the iPhone feel nice and hefty at 35 grams. Check it out now. I'll put a link in the video description. If you have any more questions about this case, feel free to drop me a line. Otherwise, you have a great day.